Isn't it awesome to have the power to tread upon serpents and scorpions? And that is, to tread upon Satan and his demons? Isn't it awesome? And isn't it awesome to have our names written in heaven? Amen. But now if we see the events that are going on around the world, we see a lot of these terrorist attacks, we see moral decay, we see drug addiction all around, fights in the families. It seems that Satan and his demons are just rampant, making havoc in the world. So we might wonder, so what happened to that power to trample over Satan and his demons? Well, I'll tell you, that power is alive and well. What happens is that we are conditioned to think as we live, rather than to live as we think. So you might say, okay, well, so how are we supposed to think? We are supposed to think like Jesus. And how are we supposed to live? Like Jesus. Amen. That's where the power comes, to trample over serpents and scorpions and to have our names written in heaven. Amen? Amen. That would end the homily. But I think it would be too short. So I'm going to elaborate a little bit about thinking as we live. Because that's the source of a lot of these problems. The fact that we misuse the gift of freedom, that's where evil really propagates. I'm going to bring you through paradise first. Then I'm going to take you to the 4th of July, 1776. Then I'm going to bring you and give you a shocking example of thinking as we live. Then I'll bring you to the church here, and we will end the homily. Amen? Paradise. God created Adam and Eve and gave them that awesome gift of freedom. Yet God was aware that the misuse of freedom can really harm them. So He set out some boundaries. And He said, I give you the liberty to eat of every tree in this garden, except of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So they used or misused their freedom, and they ate of the tree that gives the fruits of good, the knowledge of good and evil. And as a consequence, sin enters into the world, and they lost freedom. You might say, did they? Did we lose freedom? Did we lose freedom? Yes, we lost the freedom. We lost the freedom to be in paradise, to walk and roam in paradise. Now we can walk and roam in the sportsman paradise, Louisiana, but it's not the same. Fortunately, God sent Jesus Christ. And through His death and His resurrection, He has opened the doors that we can enter back to paradise. So, let's go to July 4th, 1776. This country is born as a country under God. And in the document of the independence, it declares that our Creator has given us inalienable rights. Among them is life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So I'm going to focus on the last two. Liberty. So the United States government sets out some liberties to guarantee our freedom. It's just very much, like to rein us a little bit. Instead of these liberties giving us rights. So like we have the right to a peaceful gathering. We have the right to practice religion without being persecuted, right? And I can give you some other examples. But we can misuse our freedom. And we can gather and be violent and things like that. And the effect of misusing freedom is that we might be put in jail and we lose freedom, right? You see the difference? So that one is kind of clear. Now let's go to the pursuit of happiness. That's when the pendulum swings really way to one side. And in the pursuit of happiness, the government also puts some rights. And some of the rights that they put, they say, my goodness, is that really, really correct? Some of these rights really offend our good taste and even our morals. The right to kill a baby in the womb of the mother. The right for a man to go into the woman's bathroom. And like that, I can give you a lot of examples. And the effect is that many begin to say, well, that's the way it is, we'll just have to accept it. And then we begin to think as we live. We begin to accept those situations. Let me give you a shocking example. You know that among Christian churches, including the Anglican Church, they baptize children. And in the Anglican Church, they used, very much like us, they used to, in the rites of baptism, they used to reject whom? Satan. Reject Satan. And reject sin. Reject all his lies. Well, the clergy in that church said that, well, Satan is kind of an old story. In sinners, people kind of resent of being called sinners. So they have eliminated those words from the rites of baptism. And instead now, in baptism, they promise to be a welcoming church. So you see, so they are adapting. They are thinking as we live. This is the word, we have to accept it. Now, I'm bringing you here now to the church. What did we hear in the gospel? In the gospel, we hear Jesus talking to his disciples. Right? His disciples are listening. His disciples are processing. They are thinking. They are discerning. And they begin to believe in Jesus. They don't stop just believing. They act on that belief. And Jesus sends them on missions. And my goodness, they have the power because they believe in Jesus. They have the power to trample over Satan and his demons and heal people. And they come back and say, my goodness, we have expelled demons and healed in your name. And Jesus said, don't be happy because the demons submit to you, but be happy because your name is written in heaven. That's what we need to do. We need to get the teachings of Jesus, bring it to our minds and our hearts, and act on those teachings. And we have the Eucharist. Jesus gives us his flesh, his blood, to strengthen our bodies, to strengthen our spirits. That's what gives us the power to trample over serpents, to trample over serpents and scorpions and have our names written in heaven. Amen.